if you look at all these festivals with a more modern approach or like that educated glasses, then we might like people might feel that what are these people doing? Why are they like doing all these type of rituals where someone is walking, like getting pain on themselves? Like what type of worship is this? Gods or goddesses don't want you to be in pain. But we have to understand that this type of festival is a festival of faith. It has always sustained and has its importance in a society, because here people pray to the deities by performing or following hard penances and austerities. Jai Jagannath. In today's presentation, let's explore how our festivals and traditions serve as our living heritage, are a part of our cultural heritage. And today's focus would be on my home state, Odisha. And Odisha is home to a wide range of a vibrant range of festivals and traditions, rituals that is followed. And today's topic would not be like analyzing everything in detail, but I would try to showcase most of it and bring to you how these traditions and rituals have sustained for centuries and have become a part of the day-to-day life of people. So this is going to be our aim today, just to present a bird's eye view of the vibrant diversity, antiquity, and continuity of festivals and traditions of the Odia people, to showcase the imprints of various faiths that have called Odisha their home throughout these different time periods, and highlighting the unique assimilation and their imprints in day-to-day life of common people, the deities, and also in the temples. So here you see like the symbol of Odisha, like the whole and soul of Odisha is Sri Jagannath. The Jagannath culture is imbibed in the hearts and minds and the daily lives of the people who live in Odisha and even outside. So, and in this, you see the reflection of all that has gone before, of traces of Shaivism, of Vaishnavism, of Shakta worship, of Tantra, of Buddha, Jaina, tribal, like anything that has happened in this land of Bharatvarsh. And same thing has happened in Odisha, and how it has been a nurturing cradle for different faiths and cultures throughout the time. So Odisha, as we know today, the land, the region, has been a part of a bigger region called Kalinga in its ancient times. One side of Odisha, the coastal side, and the rest of the part, like it's mostly hilly and forested regions, plateaus. So the type of people who have inhabited this land have had various types of lifestyles. Like some people were more sea dwelling, some were forest dwellers. So accordingly, their lifestyles, their faiths, their traditions, their culture, it evolved accordingly. And people came in, people went out for different type of trading activities and other pursuits. So in that, the culture has been like a flowing river. Like it can be said that culture is like a river, ever fluid, never stagnant. It modifies, adapts at every bend or terrain. Culture flows through distances, seeps through crevices, and leaves its imprint at times subtle or at times overt. So we see this cultural imprints in sorts of the things that we celebrate even today. And one thing I would like to say that this cultural continuity, it's not about the people who just live right now in a certain region of land. Their cultural continuity also happens to be shared with their neighboring regions. This part of Odisha might share more cultural continuity with the people who are in their borders there, because borders have changed in times, but the people who live there, their cultural practices are the same. What's cultural heritage? I have mentioned cultural heritage a couple of times by now. So till a few years ago, when we thought about cultural heritage, people always thought about temples, monuments, sculptures, or some artifacts. They are part of our cultural heritage. But UNESCO now has, now people have understood that just mere monuments or tangible things are not just a part of our cultural heritage. Our heritage is much beyond that. A lot of intangible things, they make up our heritage. Things like oral traditions, social practices, food and rituals, festivals, even performing arts like the classical dance, music, and arts and crafts. So a lot of these things are part of our cultural heritage. And this intangible wealth of knowledge and skills that is transmitted, it goes on from one generation to next. So what we see today in us has come from many generations before us. And these are all traditional, contemporary, and community-based. So this fragile and intangible heritage should be preserved. We all should make a conscious effort and a group effort to preserve our cultural heritage and diversity in this growing globalized world and modernized world. So how much ever we get modern and globalized, still we should not leave our cultural diversity. Diversity brings more richness to this world. And as I was telling you in the previous slide, when I showed you the map of Odisha, so if that is the present day Odisha, and the people who live in Odisha right now are the Odias who live outside, that's not just their identity of just that one land. We have to think about what has all gone before. So Odisha has been a part of the greater Kalinga region in the ancient times. And the Kalinga region was not just present-day Odisha, it was also the neighboring regions. And with that, Odisha and Kalinga is a part of a much bigger Mahabharatiya heritage, the pan-Indian heritage of Bharatvarsh, India. And at the same time, the people who lived on this land, they had cultural dealings and trade and things with a lot of people of the Southeast Asian nations. So all these different layers and realms have contributed to our heritage, our intangible heritages that we were just talking about, which we practice today, what we see today, what we know today. So the society that we experience in our lifetime is not just a transient entity, it's a summation of all that has gone before, all that is happening in the present, and ever evolving, living, breathing holder and transmitter of cultural heritage. A cumulative amalgamation of different types of people and their traditions. So people from multi-ethnic groups, to people from different faiths, different religions. In spite of this, the basic commonality found in any heterogeneous and ancient society, there are also some variations from the root culture. So things they share with other people and things that are unique to themselves. So that's how our society and culture evolves, and our traditions keep evolving, and still we preserve some of them. So let's come to today's topic, mainly about our festivals and rituals. And to understand that, as we were understanding about cultural heritage, let's understand our festivals rituals from that perspective. So there are pan-Indian festivals like Holi, Janmashtami, Ram Navami, Shivaratri, Sankrantis like Makar Sankranti, then Dashera, Deepavali. All these are celebrated throughout India, throughout the greater Bharatvarsh. But at the same time, if you go to each region, and here specifically as we're talking about Odisha, the celebrations are very unique to this region, the rituals and practices. Then there are festivals which are pan-Odissan in their presence. Like in entire Odisha, you will find something, these festivals like Jhammu, Danda, Chaitra Parva. But at the same time, if you go to a different region or different part of Odisha, the practices, the traditions will differ from another part. Then there are festivals which are celebrated in Odisha, but which are more similar to the neighboring regions. So maybe it might be the western side of Odisha. Some of the districts which celebrate certain festivals might bear more similarity with Chhattisgarh, their neighboring portions of Chhattisgarh, or the northern part of Odisha in Baleswar, Bhadrak, or Mayurbhanj. They might share more similarity with their counterparts in Jharkhand or West Bengal than any other parts of Odisha. Same goes for coastal Odisha. So it's like the geography, how people are like separated by distances. But so whenever there are a group of people in a certain place, they have similar type of rituals. So things like Tusu, Chechera, Kanma, Chadaka, even Sabitri, Phagudasami, Dola, these all you can see like being shared with their own bordering region of people rather than other part of the state. And there are certain festivals which are very exclusive and unique to Odisha. You would not find that beyond the borders of Odisha or non-Odias doing that. So Odias living outside or people in Odisha, they celebrate Raja, like Manabasa Gurubar, Prathamashtami, Bali Jatra, Khudrukudi. These are very exclusively Odia festivals. So with that, let's start our analysis of what all festivals are celebrated. So the first segment is sun worship. Sun is the supreme life giver. Like without sun, this earth would not have been possible. So since this earth has been, since people have become conscious about their surroundings, like even ancient people, sun worship has been a vital part of anybody's culture. Anywhere you go in the world. So same goes for India, Bharatvarsh, and same goes for Odisha. So let's see what are the different festivals that are dedicated to sun god, Surya. Things like Makara Sankranti, Mahavisuva Pona Sankranti. There are different vratas like Rabi Narayana Vrata, Viranjana Ekadasi, and Sambadasami, Magha Saptami, Chandrabhaga Buddha. These are the ones which are very unique in Odisha. Sambadasami, you would find mostly in Odisha this thing is celebrated. Let me focus on Sambadasami here. This is the ritual of a Vrata that is observed by mothers for the well-being of their children, and it is dedicated to sun god. So the other two very important festivals are Makara Sankranti and Mahavisuva Pana Sankranti. So Makara Sankranti again is a pan-Indian festival. It's a Mahabharati festival. Here, my focus is to show you how unique the traditions are in Odisha. Means what are the traditions that is celebrated in Odisha and Makar Sankranti. So the Makar Sankranti Buddha, taking holy dips on in different water bodies like Puri Samudra or the Chandrabhaga beach or Mahanadi or any place which is considered as a holy water body, people take the Buddha or a holy dip. And Makara Chawla is prepared on this. Makara Chawla is a preparation from raw rice and milk and coconut and some other spices and stuff. So this is offered as a offering to the god. And this Makara Chawla is considered to be very auspicious and very significant part of Makara Sankranti. So much so that a very quaint and cute tradition has used to happen in Odisha since for centuries altogether. It is the fun side of Makara Sankranti, you could say, like girls. Girls used to become besties with other girls and boys by feeding each other Makara Chawla. That is called Makara Basiba. That is ours, you can say that, the Makara pact, like how now there is the best friend forever, the besties pact, right? So in the olden days, this Makara Basiba or Makara pact used to be very popular. So once two girls became Makara, that was a lifelong friendship. It didn't break and they shared a special friendship. So that's a special thing about Makara Sankranti. Now to Pona Sankranti. Mahavisuva Pona Sankranti is one of the most important festivals that we see in Odisha because that is the starting of our Nua Barsha or Odia New Year. Now, on Pona Sankranti, what are the most significant rituals that we follow? The first thing is the puja of the Tulasi Choda, that is the Tulsi plant is worshipped by putting an earthen pot filled with water, and there is a little hole made here, and it is hung on a pole. This thing is called as a Basundhara Theki. So the idea behind this is because Mahavisuva Pona Sankranti, it is the beginning of summer and the environment, the weather starts getting hotter and everything. So water, getting hydrated, getting water to living beings like plants and other creatures is very important. And us also, we need to stay hydrated. So giving water to tulasi plant, which drips drop by drop, is a very in a very symbolic way, you can say. And Pona, the most important of Makar Sankranti, is prepared. The most famous Pona is a drink, is a watery drink made from different fruits, mainly bela. Bela is the wood apple, the bale tree's fruit. And there are different types of pona. It can be made with chatua, it can be made with dahi or like yogurt or chena and different other types of ponas. But by far the most popular pona is the bela pona. So that is offered to the gods as well as it is distributed among friends and family. And it's like a coolant. It's a great coolant and keeps us cool and hydrated in the hot summer. Then something different which happens in Odisha than the rest of India on Pona Sankranti is Hanuman Jayanti. So the rest of India celebrates Hanuman Jayanti on a separate day, but in Odisha we celebrate it on Mahavishwa Sankranti. And in southern Odisha, the previous month's danda like culminates in the Meru Jata on Pona Sankranti day. Now coming to the Shaiva traditions and worship in Odisha. As we all know, if you would have seen a couple of our previous talks and Sangam talks, Shaiva traditions have been an integral part of Odisha for centuries and millennia. Now, this Shaiva culture, the Shaiva tradition, in fact, it is so significant and so important that it went far beyond the shores. Like the Odia Sadhavas had taken our Shaiva culture to far off Java. And you can see in ancient Javanese texts, they mentioned that their Hinduism, their Shaivism had come, they know that it came from Kalinga. So you would find Shiva temples throughout the state, like, ancient Shiva temples, very beautiful temples. And with that, the traditions that are followed, the Shaiva traditions, also gets reflected in our day-to-day life. The most important festivals that are celebrated in some of the most important Shaiva Peethas like Bhubaneswar is the Mahasivaratri Jagara. Same thing, how Mahashivaratri is celebrated throughout India. In Odisha, in Bhubaneswar and other Shiva abodes, Mahashivaratri or Jagarotshava is celebrated with a lot of gusto. And the highlight of this is the Mahadipa. The Mahadipa is like a light which is carried to the top of the temple by the servitors, and it is lighted there so people can see it from far off places and break their fast of Shivaratri. And other festivals related to Sri Lingaraj is Rukkuna Ratha Yatra, which happens during Ashokastami. In other parts of Odisha, like there is a very famous Shiva Pitha called Dhabaleswara in an island in the Mahanadi. So one of the very significant festivals of Sri Dhabaleswara is Bada Osa. Then if you go to Sambalpur region in the western parts of Odisha, Shiva's one of the festivals of God Shiva is the wedding of Shiva and Parvati. It is called as Sitala Sashti. And Sitala Sashti is a time to be in Sambalpur. It is celebrated with so much pomp and splendor, and the celebrations are like quite breathtaking. So there is a family who becomes the host family as like a parent family of God Shiva. There is a family who becomes the parent family of Goddess Parvati, and the wedding ceremony takes place. And Sitala Sashti is also observed in other parts like, Bhubaneswar and all, but the most grandest celebration you can find in Sambalpur. Now let's go to some festivals where the rituals, festivals, and fasting are mostly observed by women folk. Now, if you think about the worldview, women are always considered as the delicate, as the weaker sex and stuff, So this always amazes me. As a child, I was amazed. As I grew up, I was amazed. And when I thought back about all this, like how have been these women, the women who are considered to be so delicate or weak, actually they're not so. They was actually some of the most resilient people, some of the most strongest people on this in our society. If you see our moms, our mothers, our grandmothers, aunts, older cousins or anybody celebrating all these type of vratas, oshas or festivals, you just get amazed, like where do they get this strength and this inner strength to have all these things going on along with taking care of their families. So rituals like Sambadasami, Dutiya Osa, Pojuntiya, Batta Osa, Buddhi Osa, Sathya Osa, these things, Nagaluchoti, these are all are festivals which are celebrated by mothers for the well-being of their children. Now, Khudurukuni, Bhaijuntiya are things which are celebrated, which are followed by sisters for their brothers. Sabitri, Bali Tritiya by women folk for their husband. Manabasa, Sudasa Brata, these are like for a woman, for her whole family she's praying. So the different deities are worshipped in all sides. So there might be Vedic deities, there might be Puranic deities, there might be ethnic deities. So like Surya, Shiva, Haragori, Lakshmi, Durga, Mangala, Sathi, Naga, the serpent deities, Vishnu, a lot of different type of pujas, that's why you see. So see that assimilation here, see the variety here, the diversity here. So like in our day-to-day life, we have accepted and made it a part of our day-to-day life to understand that like this godly beings, they reside in everything. That is the beauty of our culture. So we see the deities in each and every being in this around us. So here is a showcase of some of the such festivals and rituals that women folk, in Odisha follow. Like there are many more, but I have just cherry picked here. Dutiya Osa, Buddhi Osa, Sathi Osa, Bali Tritiya, Vajra Mahakali Vrata or Polari Osa, Juntiya, Bhai Juntiya, Choiti Mangalavar, Kudrukuni, Bhatta Osa, and Nagala Choti. So there are so many you see, and here another thing to observe is most of these osas are done as a group. So a group of women supporting each other, uplifting each other, giving each other company, and doing this osa together. So this, it creates a bonding. It creates a beautiful environment in the immediate society. And I would just take one osa here to tell you a uniqueness about one of these certain osas, Kanchiada Osa. This osa is celebrated the day after Prathamashtami in Margashira month. So the most unique thing which I find very fascinating is 7 dried fish. We call it sukhua in Odia, the dried fish, and it is particularly a pitta sukhua. These, like a bitter type of dried fish, they are decorated. They are actually clothed in yellow clothes, and they are made to look like a newly wed bride, or we call as bohu. So haldi, kumkum, like haldi, sindur, kajal, like haladi, sindura, kajal. So turmeric, kajal, and sindur, all are like put on the dried fish. They are given a yellow cloth and they're decorated and they're worshipped. Now, also there is a little mound made of earth and soil, and then it is filled with some water, and live paddy plants like rice plants are planted there. And in olden days, they used to also put in rural areas, they put live fish in that, like a particular Godisa macha. So what I felt, what I have heard from, the other aspect about the sosa is pitta sukhua, and that those fishes have a lot of nutritional content like proteins and other nutrients, which are very essential for women, for ladies. So in this sosa, when they do, and they consume, like this is a symbolic way of saying that how certain food are very important for certain people, and even all these different osas, there are foods which are prepared which are very specific to that region and the season when it is done. So now let's go to invoking and worshipping the divine feminine. So we had discussed a lot in my previous presentation about the goddess worship. So when we come to a celebration of festivals, we see that in Odisha, there are multi-ethnic, Vedic, Puranic, Tantric, and Shakti goddesses that are worshipped. And the common denominator among every clan and community, you go all over Bharatvarsha, all over India, you see goddess worship being one of the most significant part of our daily life. And they might be an individual festival, they might be communal festivals done in a group. So let's first see what are the goddesses from Vedas, Puranas, Tantra, Buddha, Jaina heritage that we celebrate. Odisha celebrates Saraswati Puja on the day of Vasant Panchami, Kali Puja during Deepavali, Gaja Lakshmi Puja. And mind it, this is not Mahalakshmi's Puja, this is Gaja Lakshmi Puja, which is done during Kumar Purnima or Sharad Purnima. Dhenkanal is very famous for its Gajalakshmi Puja. And this Gajalakshmi is supposed to be one of our, you can see the traces in Jaina culture. So this is a part of that Jaina heritage, you can say, which has continued. And such Gajalakshmi sculptures can be also found in, part of Cambodian temples. So then Sabitri Brata, it's a Vedic ritual like puja and Brata, which celebrates the story of Sabitri. Then in the different Shakti Pithas during the Dashera time, there is a Sodasa Dinatmaka Puja, Devi Puja, which happens for 16 days. And Sudasa Brata, that is the worship of goddess Mahalakshmi. Sudasa Brata is done in the homes by the ladies for the well-being of their family. And let's just talk about Durga Puja, because Shakti worship has been a very, very significant part of Odisha's its journey. And goddess Durga has been always revered in different forms. And you can see different sculptures, different temples with even there are like the ethnic forms called Gosanis, Gosani Jatra of Puri, where goddess Durga is worshipped as ethnic forms of like Kakuri Khai, Janhi Khai, Gosani, all those names. And so what are the different aspects of Durga Puja that actually was more prevalent in Odisha in previous centuries? More of Ghata Puja used to be done than like right now you see more of the Sarvajanina Durga Puja, that is the Durga Puja pandals everywhere. But Sarvajanina Durga Puja used to be not the norm in the past. It was more of the Ghata Puja that was done in villages where like even a khamba or a stamba was worshipped, and mostly it was a puja or a festival for people who had any profession, like whatever profession they belong to, like somebody is a potter or a washerman or a sweetmeat maker or a warrior like a khandayat or a writer or record keeper like a Karana. They all celebrated and they worshipped the tools of their trade. Like a Karana would worship the lekhani or the talapatra pothi. The Khandayats would worship their khanda. The washerman would worship the stone at the pond or the village where they wash their clothes. The sweetmeat maker would worship the different, the jalchatu and the different ladles and spoons that they use for that, right? So it was more of the people who worship the different, whatever they worked on. And another very rare and quaint tradition and very significant tradition of Durga Puja is found in Puri Sri Mandira. It's called as Gupta Gundicha or Shakta Gundicha. So many of these Durga Puja rituals are from our tantric heritage, and some are from our more indigenous and ethnic heritage. Now, going to indigenous and multi-ethnic goddesses, all over Odisha, you find worship of different types of goddesses and their worship. Like here in right now in Barampur, the Thakurani, Barampur and other parts of Ganjam, Thakurani Jatra is going on. Thakurani, Ma Budhi Thakurani is the tutelary deity who comes to her parents' home during this time, and it is a once in 2 year ritual which happens. Ma Basuri or Ma Basuri is the horse-faced goddess with a face of a horse, who is the tutelary deity of the Dhibara class, the fisherman class, and they worship Ma Basuri during the Chaitra month worship of goddesses. Now, this particular festival has always fascinated me, and the more I read or try to understand about it, the more I realize the antiquity of people living in the land of Bharatvarsh, of India, and not just India, in Odisha too. Um, the festival of self-penance, Jhamu Jata, Bali Jata, Patua, Danda, Meru, Chadaka, Udana, all these are festivals of penance or self-penance. Now, if you look at all these festivals with a more modern approach or like that educated glasses, then we might, like, people might feel that what are these people doing? Why are they like doing all these type of rituals where someone is walking, like getting pain on themselves? Like, what type of worship is this? Gods or goddesses don't want you to be in pain. But we have to understand that this type of festival is a festival of faith. It has always sustained and has its importance in a society, because here people pray to the deities by performing or following hard penances and austerities. And they feel that if I do this, I please God or goddess, give me a wish to be fulfilled. Like somebody might be wishing for a child or good crop, or something which is called manasika, or that wish. So praying to the deities by performing hard penances or austerities just to fulfill a wish, and nobody inflicts it on the people. It is a self penance that people do. We find reflection of penance type of festivals all over the world, actually, in other religions too. Like you see in Christianity, Judaism, in Islam, like a lot of cultures, even other continents, you find this. But they are different in their philosophy. Like here, it is done for more of as a self penance, and this is done in most of the lower strata of so the common people follow this. So the deities who are worshipped are goddesses and different forms of Shiva, the local forms. This is the Danda or Meru Jatra. It's one of those festivals of self-penance. This is very popular in the southern parts of Odisha. It is done in the month of Chaitra and till the day of Mahavishwapana Sankranti. So people have, like, there are different types of danda: pani danda, dhuli danda, agni danda, nritya danda, and goddesses worship mostly the Mahakali, a form of Mahakali. So Rudra Mahakali Bhajahe, like, there are like chants of that. So it is a very hypnotic, it's a very uh, very strong feeling creating festival. Like people have expressed, like I have spoken to friends who have been in such festivals. I have personally not been there in a Danda festival, but people say that you get to be in a trance-like situation. Like you also feel that emotion, that spirituality, and that particular energy of that place. So that is another forms of the such penance festivals are Jhamu. Jhamu Jatra is very popular in Kakatpur, Mangala, Jhankada Sarada, and some other pithas, Devi pithas. So in Jhamu, the most important like thing that you see is people walking barefoot on like burning coals. Then there are Patuas and Ghanta Patuas who worship Shiva. And the Chodaka and Udapuram is in Mayurbhanj in northern Odisha side, where people like hang, like from, they will put themselves on poles with nails and they will go like swing on that. So these were the different self-penance festivals. Now going to pan-Indian festivals with regional uniqueness. Like many festivals are celebrated all over India, such as Ganesh Chaturthi, Holi, Diwali. But let's see some of the festivals where how Odisha celebrates it differently. Like going to Holi, all over India, it is Holi, but in Odisha, it is a day, it's multiple days of festival, which the Phagu Dasami is important, and then Dolo Jatra, Dolo Purnima. So Phagu Dasami, the word itself, like it has the, if you see, like if you go beyond India's borders, if you go to Trinidad, Tobago, Guyana, Suriname, all these places where people from India had gone and settled in the early 20th century, they also celebrate Holi, but they call it as Phagua. And if you go to Nepal or parts of Bihar, Jharkhand, Eastern UP and all, there also they call Phagua. And in Odisha, we call Phagu, Phagu Dasami. So look at that commonness of, the words. There might be other places also, but this all just come to my mind. Then that is Dola. Dola, that is Daso Dola, Panchu Dola, like, 10 days of Dola or 5 days of Dola, however it is celebrated, it is named like that. In Dola, gods are brought out in the bimanas, like little carriages called bimanas, and they are taken all over the neighborhood and taken to the Melanapodia, and each house gives them offerings. And then this is a big gathering for the entire village or the town. So Dola used to be one of the most loved festivals of Odisha, where even it is said that girls who were married and gone to in-laws' house, they were called to their parents' house to attend the Melana during Dolo in their parent village. And the gods are giving colors, like how Holi is played. So it's a very joyous, very happy festival of Odisha. And we celebrate Holi a day after mostly India celebrates. And second, I'll take Akshaya Tritiya traditions. Akshaya Tritiya, as in Odisha, we call it Akshaya Tritiya or Akhi Tritiya. So these Akshaya Tritiya traditions all over India differ according to region. So how it is celebrated in Odisha, let's see. So in Sri Kshetra in Puri, there are like certain very important things which happen. This is the day when the logs of Sri Jagannath's chariot, the Ratha Katha, are consecrated. Ratha Katha Anukula Hue, that's how we say it. So the logs of Sri Jagannath, Balabhadra, and Subhadra's chariots are consecrated, and then this is the same day, Akshaya Tritiya, the first day of Chandana Jatra. It's a very beautiful festival of Sri Kshetra, Chandana Jatra. It is one of the longest running festivals in the year for the gods. So that is the beginning of Chandana Jatra. Even in Puri region, they have people celebrate something called as Ghadi Pathuli Puja. Now, Pan-Odissan traditions is more of a farming-based culture tradition for Akshaya Tritiya. All over Odisha, people like the farmer community, the farmers who till their lands, who tend to their fields, they take new grains in a little container called as Akhi Muthi. That is decorated and taken to the field, and along with a lot of pitha and other bhoga offerings, worship is done and given to Ma Lakshmi. And after that, from the Akhi Muthi, the dhana, the paddy or other grains are like sprinkled on the field, and then the farmer tills the land. So this is more of a common ritual all over Odisha that you find, Akhi Muthi consecration by farmers at the beginning of the agricultural year. Let's talk about another very popular festival from India, the Raksha Bandhan festival. In Odisha, it is celebrated as Gamha Purnima. Gamha Purnima is considered to be the birthday of God Balabhadra or Balaram, Krishna's older brother. And as we all know, Balabhadra or Balaram is the presiding god of agriculture, of cattle and all that. So on this day, Oriya people, they worship the cattle and offer them different, treats and other things. And in the Sri Mandira, Balabhadra Janma is done, where, there are certain different rituals. You can read more about it. And also gods are given special Rakhis are prepared for gods, all the gods, and they are given these Rakhis to be tied. The Poita change, the sacred thread is changed in the Brahmin community. Even I remember as a child, even though we were not from the Brahmin people, like our family Purohit, he used to come and do the puja for our family deities, and then also give poita or the sacred thread to my father and brother, because that is the day everyone can wear a sacred thread as it is understood in Odisha. Then a very fun ritual called as Gamhadiya, that is done in rural Odisha mostly. So a mound is created from lower to higher inclination, and there is a high, a pole where bananas, coconuts, and other fruits and treats are hung. And then young people, they will like run and then jump from there and try to catch and pick one from there. So it's like a fun activity, Gamhadiya, which it's losing its traction now, but it was to be very popular in the past. And even now you find it in some rural pockets. Rakhi tying between a sister to a brother, that is also there, and which is the same thing in rest of India. Now let's see some festivals which are very unique to Odisha. The first one is Raja. Raja, we have discussed in detail in our previous presentation, so I'll just tell you quickly. This is a festival which celebrates the fertility and womanhood. So in Odisha, we believe that Mother Earth is undergoing her fertility period, her menstruating period. So she should be given rest at this time. And she is, because the young girls in a family are also the symbols of future, carriers of life. They are also celebrated this day. So there are lots of fun activities like Doli Khela, like Pitta, Pana, and Panno, and there's celebrations in a lot of ways. Especially the girls have a very good time. Even the boys, it's a celebration of multiple days, and it's a time of great joy in Orissa. Kumar Purnima, Kumar Purnami. This is also a festival which is unique to Odisha, although Sharad Purnima is all over India, but this is specifically different in Odisha. In Odisha, the girls worship the rising sun in the morning and the rising moon in the evening with Chanda Chakata and Puchi Khela and different other activities. Then there is Prathamashtami. This is a unique festival in Odisha. I have never heard about such a festival from any other counterparts from India, like where the firstborn is celebrated. Firstborn, irrespective of it being a boy or a girl, the firstborn in a family is celebrated in Prathamashtami. Manabasa Gurubar, the Lakshmi Puja or Manabasa Gurubar, it is a very distinct Lakshmi Puja which is found in Odisha, deeply joined with our Jagannath culture. In this puja, the book about Jagannath and Lakshmi's and other stories is read. And the most important thing to understand about this puja is this is a very unique thing that started happening in the medieval times when the society was getting a little more, closed and not that fair to everyone in the society. Here it was from this puja, it was again restructured in the society, that how everyone is equal, how God treats everyone equally. There is no big, no small, no class apart or anything. Gods and goddesses are for everyone. And then the woman, how important the woman's role is in a family and a society. So women should be treated with respect. So here the women of a family do the puja for Mahalakshmi and read the book, this Lakshmi Purana book, Lakshmi Puja book, and offer a lot of different offerings to Goddess Lakshmi. Then this is also a unique festival for Odisha, but it is a heritage festival. Like, what are those? The Kartika Purnima Danga Bhasa or Boita Bandhana Bali Jatra. this is a festival which is not a religious festival, like this particular aspect of the festival per se. It's not religion based, it is more of heritage based. The Boitabandhana Dangavasa Baliyatra, it celebrates Odisha's ancient tradition of Kalinga Sadhavas voyaging off to far off Bali, Java, Indonesia, Cambodia for trade. And during this Kartika Purnima day, they used to start their voyage. So commemorating that, every year, Odia people, if they are in Odisha or even outside Odisha, celebrate it by floating a boat with some offerings and all, and saying certain words like Akama Boy Panoguathoi. Similar to this Balijatra tradition, there is a Khudurukuni Osa, which is also very unique to coastal parts of Odisha, which bear, the traces of these maritime trade which used to happen, in which the protagonist of the Osa is Taupoi, who worships a form of goddess, like Bhalukuri, the goddess Mangala. So Taupoi was a girl from the Sadhava community whose father and brothers had voyaged off for trade to Bali, Java, and Indonesia. So that story and what happens and all that is read, and it is celebrated by young girls. Utkala Divasa is more of a more newer festival than other festivals because this commemorates the formation of Odisha as a state in 1936, modern Odisha. So that is Utkala Divasa. Now let's go to agriculture and occupation-based festivals. India is a land of farmers. Even Odisha also, our main thing in Odisha for all these times has been agriculture and other occupations also. So if you go all over Odisha, you would find a lot of festivals which have their roots in agriculture-based activities. Now, before going into some of the others, let's talk about the festivals of the indigenous tribes. Odisha is home to the second highest population of tribes, indigenous tribes, or the Janajati, and all the different types of tribal population who live in Odisha. They celebrate a variety of festivals, and most of it has some or the other linkage to their agricultural activity. The most unique thing that I find fascinating about festivals of the indigenous tribes is that you don't find any of these or any worship they do individually. It's always like a group activity. And a group activity, the prayers are done for the community, like for the society, people pray, not just for the self. So this thing about thinking about the society and the community as a whole and praying as a whole, how beautiful is that? That means you're praying for everyone, not just yourself. So like Kedu, Karama, Bijapandu, Chaitra Paraba, Puspunei, Maghe Parab, these are all different festivals which are celebrated. Now, other festivals which are throughout Odisha, you would find Akshaya Tritiya, as we already discussed, then Garbhana Sankranti, Nuakhai, Puspune. Nuakhai is more specific to the western regions of Odisha. Then Maghe Parab, Karama, and Kanjola. And I want to just specifically highlight one puja here, the Chitto Amavasya, the Chittalagi Amavasya. I find a ritual that is done in this Chitto Amavasya very fascinating, actually. So on Chitto Amavasya, Chitto Pitha is made. It is like type of pitha which resembles an appam, you can say, from Kerala. So not exactly, but just to give you an idea. So Chitto Pitha is made, and other offerings are also made. And then in the villages where there are farmlands and all, kids and women and people go taking that offering and offering it to the snails and other creatures in the water, and call it as Gende Suri Puja, because Genda in Odia is snail. Now they would utter some words saying that, which means that, take this offering and don't bite my brother or this person's, feet when they are working in the farmland, tilling, when they are working in the watered farmland. So I find this very fascinating that, rituals and all these are so beautifully interwoven with what actually, practically it is woven into our daily life. So, and Nuakhai in Sambalpur is in the, not just Sambalpur, but most of the West, like all parts of Western Odisha celebrate Nuakhai. There are two different times where, the more popular, bigger Nuakhai is in the around the post-summer, autumn type of month. But there is one other Nuakhai which is done during Chaitra. The main idea behind Nuakhai is to offer new grains to the goddess before consuming oneself. So in Chaitra, like Bola, Mohula, all these are offered, and in the other time, like grain, the different other things are offered. Now coming to another worship of the tools of the trade or of occupation. There is Kurala Panchami, which is a festival of potters of Odisha. They're called as Kumbhara, who celebrate a form of Vishnu called Rudrapal, and they worship their potter's wheel that day. There is also Biswakarma Puja. Biswakarma, as everyone knows, is the god of the architect, god of the deities. So Biswakarma Puja is celebrated in different places like factories, like engineering colleges or such institutions. And this is something I wanted to highlight today. Although this is not a festival like any other festival, this is a year-long festival, and it is very unique to Odisha. It is a festival of listening to the reading of one of the holiest and most revered books of Odisha, that is Odia Bhagavata. So the Bhagavata Janma Day, this Bhagavata Purana Ushchava starts. Bhagavata Parayana Ushchava, it starts on Bhagavata Janma Day, and it is a year-long festival where, like, if you go to the villages of Odisha, you would find places called Bhagavata Tungi. Now, Bhagavata Tungi in every village was the identity of that village. It was a place of congregation of the normal common people who would come after days of hard work, sit in the evening and listen to a chapter of the Bhagavata read by one of the, persons there. So this listening to this holy book, and Bhagavata is, this Odia Bhagavata is actually not just a translation of Vasudev's Srimad Bhagavat. This is actually, of course, based on the philosophy of that. Attibodi Jagannath Das composed this Bhagavata, and he wrote it in very simple Odia that everybody could understand, like anybody, not even with the higher education of Sanskrit, anybody could understand this Bhagavata. And the deepest of the deepest philosophies are there, like going to the universe or the philosophy of life or anything. And at the same time, it talks about avatars, gods, Vishnu, Krishna, the different, all the stories are there. And at the same time, there is the philosophy of Advait, about Shunya, about, like, it is like a one-stop, like a knowledge center for anything and everything that you want to learn in life. So Bhagavata, reading Bhagavata, listening is an integral part of Odisha society. And it is actually said that there are like certain papers and articles and books which were written even by non-Odia scholars, like even Bengali scholars and all, that Odia Bhagavata was one of the most important things that helped literacy in Odisha, among Odia people. For the Odia language, literacy was one of the, by far, the most successful literate people in all of India that time, in the medieval times. Even more, like a Bengali scholar actually has written that even more than Bengali literates, people who are literate, Odia people were more literate just because of the Bhagavata, that is the importance of it. And even now, people think that listening to the few lines of Bhagavata at the deathbed also gives one moksha or moksha. So Bhagavata Janma is a very unique festival that is celebrated in Odisha. Now, going to very fun festivals where kids go door to door collecting gifts and goodies. We see that in other cultures and other parts of India too. Now, here I have just taken three festivals like that. One is the Aginjala Purnima or Agiya Pune. It's very common throughout Odisha. Cherchera during Puspune is a common festival only in some of the western parts of Odisha, and which bears resemblance to the Chercheras celebrated in the nearby Chhattisgarh region. And this one is the Pura Umasa Porab on Saptapuri Amavasya and the Lanka Pori. Again, this is one of the western Odisha parts of Sonpur, both they celebrate, where little kids, they carry clay models of like elephants and tigers and horses. All these they carry and take it as a procession, and they go and get stuff for their animals from the little girls who are selling them. So girls have other rituals. They will get little baskets from home filled with goodies for this clay, horse, elephant and all. And kids have a very, very fun time during this. And this particular celebration, as far as I understand about from reading and talking to people about this, is it inculcates the traditions how grown-ups do, be it warfare or taking care of the society or being responsible about food and like helping each other, all those things. And this thing in the Lankapuri, there are like clay models of Hanuman which are made and the kids carry. And in the evening, the tail of the Hanuman is lighted up and it is carried in like all over the community, door to door. So this has traces with the Ramayana story of, how Sri Hanuman went and burnt Lanka. So Lanka produced Chow. Now, Kartika month, one of the holiest months of our Hindu months. Everywhere, Kartika month is very auspicious and it is celebrated throughout India. But how is it different in Odisha? I just wanted to show you here. So the Kartika Muruja is an integral part of the Kartika month. So during Panchuka, the last 5 days, okay, let me tell you here, Kartika, like Odia people eat fish a lot, like fish is consumed a lot in Odisha. It's one of the very integral part of Odia cuisine. But only during the month of Kartika, people don't eat any fish or any other non-vegetarian food at this time. Even many people even leave onion and garlic from their food. So Kartika month, people don't eat fish at all or non-veg. And if somebody is eating, they have to at least follow the last 5 days of Kartika, which is called as Panchuka. That 5 days are the holiest and strictly people don't eat any fish or consume any non-vegetarian food. This Panchuka is in a fun way called as Baka Panchuka. Baka are like the cranes or storks. Even it is said that the Baga also leaves eating fish for these last 5 days. So if the Baga can leave or the crane can leave its fish eating habits, people can also. So in this Muruja or the Rangoli, as Muruja is the colored powder art. So you will find traces of our Odia heritage. There are Boita, which is made of the ships. Then there is the Baga, as I said, and there are so many other cultural motifs that you can find here. What I understand from my elders that this month is very, like the fish are spawning during this month. So maybe this ritual of leaving fish eating was very carefully added to Kartika month so that we don't, harm the fish during this time. Then Buddha and Mela, that is holy dips and holy congregations. These are also important parts of festivals and rituals. So there are lots of such Buddha and Mela which happen. Things like Baruni Buddha, Chandrabhaga Buddha are very well known. And there are like different Melas like Magha Saptami Khandagiri Mela, then the Ama Hingula Jatra, Chandanasur Chadaka Mela, Nrsinghanath Boisakha Mela, Joronda Mela, the Joronda Gadi, Olek Gadi, then Mayurbhanj Tursu Mela. There are so many different melas and Buddhas. Now we talk about everything. How can we not talk about our beloved Jagannath, our Kaliya? So festivals in Sri Mandir also reflect the overall, the fabric of Odisha. And as I time and again say that Jagannath is the whole and soul of Odisha. He is the existence, the journey, story of the reason and its people. The entire gamut, like anything that has happened in Odisha, anything that is happening, like it is the Jagannath culture at action, at play. And it is an ever evolving, living, breathing cultural tradition of Sri Jagannath. And whatever we see now, it's of all these previous things which have happened and assimilated into our gods. So the festivals in the Sri Mandira, some of it which I would just highlight here are Dolo Jatra, Chandana Jatra, Jhulana Jatra, Chittalagi Amavasya, then Rukmini Vibaha, and different festive attires of the deities that we call as Besa. Now on Chittalagi Amavasya, gods are given the pendant, like the gem is given to the gods to be worn. And Dolo and Chandana, we all just discussed a little bit. So let's move on to the most important jatra of the Jews, or the Sri Jews as we say in Odia, Jagannath, Balabhadra, Subhadra. So it is the Ratha Jatra. So starting from Snana Jatra, that is the holy bathing of all the gods, when they get a fever and then they get to be given medicine, and they recuperate in the Anasara, that is the quarantine room, and then finally they get okay and they go out for a journey to meet their family and friends. So that is the Ratha Jatra or the Ghosa Jatra. Ghosa Jatra because Nandi Ghosa, the chariot of Jagannath. So this is a festival. Why significant? Like, why have I highlighted this? Of course, this is one of the biggest festivals of Sri Jagannath, as we all know. It's a very beloved festival. But what is significant about it? The significant thing, none other than the most beloved poet of Odisha, Upendra Bhanja, he sums it up like Snana Gundichaye Beni Swayam Lila Jara Patita Pavana Arthe Prasadu Bahara. I would like, what he's trying to say here is only during these two festivals, Snana Jatra and Gundicha Jatra, are the festivals where Swayam, like where himself or themselves, the gods in their own form, are coming and meeting the people. Like the Chalanti Pratima or their presiding deity is not coming for this festival. The gods themselves are coming out so that the whole world can have a darshan of them and can see them. So irrespective of whoever wants to see, everyone can have a darshan of Jagannath, Balabhadra, Subhadra during this Ratha Jatra. So the entire Ratha Jatra thing is like Snana Purnima, Anasara, Netroshchava, Navajovana Darsana, Gundicha Jatra, Hera Panchami, Bahuda Jatra, Sunabesa, Lakhnana Bachanika, Niradri Vijay. So many fascinating rituals are all like within this. So if you want to know more, of course, please go and find out more about this fascinating festival. Now, if we don't mention about street festivals, then our talk would not be complete, because street festivals like performances, music, dance, theaters, they are also an integral part of celebrations of festivals and rituals in Odisha. Like we know people, if you ask, people would know about the Brazilian carnival or the Goan carnival, but how many people would know that even in our own regions, like I think it might be found in other parts of India also. Like there are so many vibrant, beautiful street festivals which happen. So let's quickly look at some of them. One of the most beautiful and like it's a real spectacular festival is the Sahi Jatra of Puri, the Sahi Jatra or Sahi Jatra, in which different different characters from the Ramayana and other Puranas also. They usually come and perform in the different Sahi. Sahi means the streets or the communities of Puri, the bylanes. So you can find like Parshurama, you can find other like characters of Rama, Lakshmana, Sita, Vishwamitra, and you can find Garuda, you can find Narasimha, you can find Kali, you can find the Saptasira, Navasira, and the Sanana Ravana. This is a unique festival where you see Ravana going to Sri Mandira first and taking the Agya of Sri Jagannath and doing a puja for Jagannath and then coming to perform here. So Ravana is the anti-hero, the person who is killed by Rama, the individual, but still that character is also celebrated here. What I understand from my limited understanding is in our culture, in our oral culture, we just don't cancel off people as being good, bad, or something like that. Each person has their own significance, has their own plus points, has their own qualities. So here, and if you remember in Ramayana also at the deathbed of Ravana, Rama takes Lakshmana and like they learn certain things from him, right? So here we see in Sahi Jatra Puri, Ravana comes and he walks and like then there is also ritual where there is the Badha, Ravana Badha. But at the same time, we see the importance given to this character because he was also considered to be the son of a very learned sage, and he himself was very, very learned and wise and intelligent, and he was a great devotee of Shiva. The thing that brought his downfall, of course, he had to be punished. So nobody can have like great qualities and then they can be pardoned, or nobody can just be cancelled off because they are like bad. So that is my take from Sahi Jatra. And there are other characters, like important characters of Parshuram, for example. Parshuram's culture is very important in Odisha. We see time and again, even Mahendra Parvat region also, you find the temple of Parshuram. So these traces of Ramayana and other Puranic things happening in Sri Mandira even now, in the bylanes of Puri even now, that shows the antiquity and the continuity of such living heritage. And as far as I have talked to people of Puri and understood this, they say that this is all like transfer of knowledge from one generation to other. You know, they keep on evolving. They keep the central theme is kept, but it keeps evolving over time. So it is more like a passing on of tradition. During other times in Puri, you see in the Ashwina month, the Gosani Jatra, there is Naga Medhas. Nagas were important warrior races, so they are showcased that time. During Janmashtami time, you see the Aghasura and Bakasura Badha rituals. People dress up, kids dress up and bring out that. Then in Daspala region of Nagar, there is Lanka Podi Uschava, where there's a huge Ravana Medha. That is the highlight of that area during Ram Navami. Then during Chaitra, Chaiti Ghoda Nacho is very famous in the Dhivara community, the washerman community, like all the different there is Keuta Keutuni Nacho, there is Sabara Sabaruni Nacho, there is Kondha Kondhuni Nacho. So all different ethnic groups, their dances are there called as Soloswanga. And there is Sonda Nacha, there is Prahlad Nataka in Ganjam, which is an open air theatre. There is Bagha Nacha from Barampur and Ganjam during Thakurani Jatra. There is Thakurani Jatra. There is Medha Nacha. And a very significant thing I wanted to showcase here is the Dhanu Jatra of Baragad. This is a open air theatre which goes on for days, and it is considered to be the largest open air theatre in the world also. Like people say that at least in Asia, it is the largest open air theatre. And I read somewhere that is the largest open air theatre of the world. So Dhanu Jatra, where Kansa is the main character, and the different parts of Krishna's story is enacted there. Chhattar Jatra of Ma Manikeswari in Kalahandi region. This is a very, very important festival in the Bhavanipatna area. It's a huge celebration, like how you see people accumulating during Rath Yatra in Puri. Similarly, you see hundreds and thousands of people during Ma Manikeswari's Chhattar Jatra in Kalahandi. Ma Manikeswari is brought out, and then people do Ghummar. Then there are people who dress up in different ferocious and scary costumes, and also this showcases how I understand from this is the ancient, the tribes and ethnic groups who have lived, and their culture, their traditions, they try to showcase with this, ethnic goddesses who also are like the ferocious forms of goddesses and all. So this is again a very resplendent festival which happens in Odisha. Now we talk about bigger scale festivals like a community and all, but also it's important to talk about rituals and traditions among Odiyas. Like in a family, in just one family, let's say there are different rituals like Chutikiya at the birth of a child, the Ekoisia on the 21st day of birth of a newborn, Ekoisia is done. Anna Prasanna, the initiating solid food, like the kid is there is a ritual performed where the toddler is given the first solid food. Mundana or Bala Podiva, the kid's baby hair is shaved off. Again, it's a ritual which is done near the gods. Khadichua, the first time initiating into writing and studies. It's mostly done in Saraswati Puja. Brata Ghara among the Brahmin community. Bahaghara. Brata Ghara is that Upanayam ceremony. In other parts, that's how it is known. It is Brata Ghara in Odia. Bahaghara, that is the wedding. Then Shraddha. Shraddha is the, like after somebody's death, the anniversary, some rituals are done. Then Paya Shraddha every year given to all ancestors. And there is a very special ritual called Boda Bodua Daka, which is done during Deepavali time. So on Deepavali day in Odisha, it's this particular thing which is done is like certain sticks called Kauriya Kathi are lighted and shown to the sky with certain words like Boda Bodua Ho Andhare Asa Alueja. That means it is believed that the ancestors had visited the families during this the previous month, Mahalaya Amavasya. During Mahalaya, during that time, they had come to the earth to visit their families, and they stayed. And then today on Deepavali, they go back to their Pitrulok. So because it is dark, we are showing light to you, and you can have a safe travel to your Pitrulok. So like that, this very ritual is done called as Boda Bodu Adaka. What are festivals without food, right? So any of these festivals that are celebrated throughout the year, and here are just some of them, not like all, but most of these festivals have also like certain food and like offerings which are specifically done for those festivals. And in Odisha, just any festival or auspicious day, vegetarian food is prepared, and it without any onion and garlic that is used, and the rice which is used is orua, or like not the parboiled or usuna rice. In many parts of Odisha, people also eat vegetarian food during Mondays and Thursdays, because Mondays are considered to be the day of Shiva, and Thursday is considered to be the day of goddess Lakshmi. Odia Vaishnavas usually eat vegetarian food without onion garlic throughout the year. And varieties of pithas are prepared and other things are prepared. So some things, let me just show you here. Makara chawla, as I had told you, Makara Sankranti, Kusi Sakara, Butta and Dola, Podo Pitha during Raja, variety of different pithas like Kakara, Manda, Poda, Chinchuputra, Chokuli, and so many Arisa, so many during Raja. Panna, also Raja. Bella Pona during Mahavisuva Pona Sankranti. Saga Muga Chakata during Sabitri Brata, then Panti Bhoga, then Gaja Pitha during Bada Osa, Chuda Ghasa during Ratha Jatra, Ganesh Puja, Saptapuri Pitha during Saptapuri Amavasya, Chitto Pitha, Chittalagi Amavasya, Chanda Chakata, Kumarpuni, Haradipatra or Enduri Pitha on Prathamashtami, and Monda, Chakuli, Kakara, and so many different Pitha for Manavasabhuga. So with all that, what more can I say? But Odisha has so many festivals that it is like practically like an impossible task to showcase everything in a particular time limit period. So I would like to tell you, like, by end my talk with, in Odia we have a saying called Bara Masare Tera Paraba. That means in 12 months we have 13 festivals, which actually means that there are more festivals than there are months in a year. So like the months will finish, but the festivals won't finish. So with that, here I have kept a one-stop summarization for just to have a quick look on what all different types of festivals or, you know, faiths and tradition-related festivals and traditions happen in Odisha. So things like hula huli, ghanta, baja, sankha, ginni, these are also part of our, celebrations. These are some of the books and blogs and other websites and stuff which I referred for preparing this. And my thanks and gratitude has to be done to at least certain names I can say out right now, where I have even mentioned here. There are a lot of Instagram accounts where I took pictures and content from. I have mentioned here the accounts of Sri Jagannath, Sri Khetra, and Sweta Bishwal, Ritu Patnaik, Soumya Ranjan Panda, Arpan at Click Stories, Sweta Cat Eating since 96, Ganjam Calling, Clicks and Poses, and among many others. There are so many others. It is practically difficult to put everyone here. And and my immediate family, my parents and uncles, aunts, and my friends, families, like a lot of talks has gone on to know about the variations and the diversity of our culture. So this is an ongoing process. And with this, I keep finding more and more, and how much common also we have with other people in India, other people outside India. So culture, so it's always going to be an ongoing education and learning. And with this, I finish my talk. Thanks to all of you. Jai Jagannath, Vandev Kula Janani. Thanks for staying with me for such a long talk with patience. Thank you so much.